Today we're going to be fixing rusty floorboards in this old truck. I'm going to show you guys a step-by-step process on how to do it. Give you some tips and tricks so you don't get overwhelmed when you're doing this job yourself, and also show you how not to do it. Now the first step is to get this old seat out of the way. Now I got the seat out, and there's this tin riveted over the rust on the floor, so now you can really see the extent of the rust damage. The one reason you never want to fix rust by just riveting or welding new stuff over top of it is it creates a layer that can trap moisture and air and everything, and it just makes it rust out that much faster. So the only way to fix it properly is to cut all of it out and put a brand new sheet of metal in. Okay, so this next step is really easy. Basically, you're going to take your patch panel, which I have right here, brand new floor pan, and you're going to want to lay it right over the rusty stuff and then trace around the new panel so you know where to cut. And then I'll go further in depth with that once we get to that step, but basically you want to trace a little bit below it, and I'll explain all that later. And yeah, wow, this floor is really rusted out. Can't believe I was driving it like this. Yeah, it's good shot. Okay, so now we have the floor pan sitting inside before we cut any rust out. And basically what we're doing right here is we're going to take some marking crayon, and we're just going to trace along the entire perimeter of the floor pan, so that way we'll know where to cut. And I know a lot of you are probably asking, well, once I cut out all the rust, I won't have anything left to weld to. A lot of the floor pans go all the way up to the firewall, and you'll rarely see rust up there. There'll always be weldable steel up there, around on this edge, and usually over here. So it shouldn't be an issue. If it is, then all you got to do is extend this side up further into the firewall and just weld higher up. Okay, we got our pan traced up, so now we just have to pull it out, and then I'll show you guys how to cut. Now it's hard to see this line that I traced. You can see it up there real nice. You can kind of see it around the edge. Anyway, basically what you're going to do is, this is your line right here, you're going to cut about an inch below all the way around, but you're not going to skip out on any rust. Like here, we'll cut all of this off, but stay an inch below. That way we have a little bit of a lip to weld to all the way around. And one last thing, before you guys do start cutting, you want to check underneath, and you want to kind of see what you're going to be hitting when you're cutting, and you want to try to avoid that as best as possible. I know there's a cross member here, and that's out of the way, and then like the frame and all that. But you just want to give everything a good look around, that way you're not cutting through like any linkage or any brake lines, nothing like that. When you are cutting, just make sure you're wearing eye protection and ear protection. A lot of sparks are going to be flying, and it gets really noisy. So, and that's regardless whether you're using a plasma cutter or cut-off wheel like I have here. Just remember, safety's first. Just gets tough when it gets right around this area, because you got to make sure you cut out all the rust. Otherwise it's just going to start rotting back out. And now after a whole bunch of cutting and fighting, your floor pans are finally cut out. And it might take some wrestling to get them all out of place, but as long as you cut everything, they should come out. And it's okay to cut them in half or whatever you got to do. And there we go. You got your floor pans out. Alright, so now we got our floor cut out. I got some rust reformer on the cab mounts and the frame, and that's basically just to stop it from rusting further. And this isn't going to be a show truck by any means, it's just going to be more of a farm truck or a work truck. So it's okay if it's rusty around the edges, just as long as it's safe. And that's the main reason we're cutting the floor out of this thing, is so that it's safe for people to drive. Alright, so I got the edges all grinded down, so that way there's clean metal, so I'm ready to weld. Now what I'm going to do next is throw the new floor pan in and check the fit. And the new fit might be kind of a pain in the butt, but usually it'll go in pretty smoothly. After you're done grinding off the primer, it's time to weld. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. You just have to get some clean steel showing, so that way it's easier to weld. You have the gas tank to worry about. And if you're anything like me, you have a really old truck and it's sitting in the back of the cab, right where mine is. And you can do one of two things. You can either, one, cover the gas tank with wet cloths or a welding blanket, like I'm going to do, or you can remove the gas tank and get rid of the hazard completely. The one problem with that is it's a pain in the rear, and also if you remove the gas tank you have open gas lines with fumes and all that, and that's never a good thing when you're welding. So I would recommend just covering it to make sure none of the spatter and sparks get near the gas tank and blow you up. So if you just run a bead all the way along, you're going to end up warping the steel. So you're going to want to do a tack weld quite a distance apart from each other, and just keep tack welding till you fill the entire area in. Otherwise it's going to warp and you'll end up with a big mess. After a couple hours and a few thousand tack welds, you are good to go with a brand new sturdy floor. It's definitely not going anywhere. All that's left to do is the other side. Might be a little more tricky with the pedals in the way, but either way, same exact process as this was. Once we're finished up with that, we'll clean all the edges up real nice, throw some primer and paint on them, and you'll be good to go.